Can people hear? Ah, there it goes. All right, welcome to United Astronomy Clubs of New Jersey. I see a couple people are still wandering down from viewing off the rock while we were waiting to get this presentation underway. I want to welcome you all here for this on-site presentation. Our weather has actually cooperated beautifully for once. Looks like clear skies for now, and we have multiple of our observatories with our telescopes open tonight. So a couple things for you guys here. Um, when you go to leave, please use your headlights. It hurts to get run over, and we like to avoid that. That being said, if you have any flashlights or whatnot, when you're wandering around, do keep them pointed towards the ground because no one likes getting flashlights run in your eyes. If you do need the bathroom, we have the porta potty to my right, your left. We also have a little museum section with a gift shop in the door to my left, your right. Let's see. Sorry. For both our people here and our online, you can check out a list of all our presentations coming up and past presentations on our website, uacnj.org. That's where you'll find information on all our member clubs, all our socials, and all about our organization as a whole. Everyone you see here volunteering is a volunteer. None of us get paid to be here. And all of this has been brought to you by everyone who has kindly donated and kept our lights on and our bills paid throughout the year. So, in addition to our website, check us out on our socials. We got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We got a Discord. And with that, we're going to get into our program. So tonight's program is What's Up in the June Sky with Lonny Buinis. Lonny has been giving talks at UACNJ since it opened. He is the only member of the International Association of Astronomical Artists to specialize in virtual reality planets, some of which appear in his ebook, which he shamelessly promotes later. Right. And although Lonny holds degrees from Stevens Institute of Technology in physics and computer science, he puts his pants on 2 legs at a time, just like everyone else. So please feel free to ask questions. I am paying attention in our online chat for everyone who is on there. And let's get started.
Thank you, Kim. Can you all hear me? Oh, very good. Thanks, Kim. Kim is one of the volunteers who gives generously of her time. And if you wish to help us, you can be generous, even for a coin or two in our donation bottle. Thank you. That's the end of our first shameless promotion for the night. So we are a volunteer organization where we're all here because we love to do it. I'm not a professional astronomer. I'm an amateur astronomer, just like everyone else here. But between the entire group of us, we can help you with questions. There's no such thing as stupid questions. So ask a lot of questions. Go out there. The only thing you don't want to do is trip on the astronomers' tripods, because that will make them cry. So what's up in the June sky? I've got a picture of a comet near the star Arcturus, which is one of the brightest summer stars. Let's try that. One of the brightest summer stars, and that is where a recent meteor shower seemed to appear from. We're going to describe that later. So let's find out what's up in June. I'll be asking you to memorize these events. There'll be a test later. I see people furiously scribbling on their iPads and pencil and paper. Anybody know what that is anymore? Anyone? We have a full moon, which is the worst time to see faint objects in the sky. And that occurs in the middle of the month, June 14th. It's known as the strawberry moon. Every month has a moon with a different name, a poetic name. I'll describe those in a minute. So the worst time to see faint stuff is the full moon, which also happens to be a supermoon, which is, of course, when the moon appears 50 times bigger in the sky. It blots the sky. Oh, I will be making stuff up tonight. So if you want to call me on it, that's fine. No, supermoon means that the moon does not go around the Earth in a circle. It's slightly squashed. Not like that, that's an exaggeration, just a little, but that means that the moon is sometimes closer or further when it's full. So it happens to be at one of its closest points, so it's a little bit bigger, not noticeable to the eye. It is noticeably, sometimes some people notice it's a little brighter. Supermoon. Then we have the planet Mercury, the innermost of the major planets, going to be visible west of the sun. So let's figure out when that is. Facing south, Jenny jumps south is that way. Where does the sun set? Yeah, we have shy. This person's not shy. Congratulations. You are not punished for participating. Thank you very much, ma'am. The west is that way. So if Mercury is west of the sun, it's going to be going away from the sun to the right, which means you'll see it when? In the morning. That's east. You want to look as the sun, before the sun rises, for Mercury that way at Jenny Jump, east. That's June 16th. Very important date, the 21st, important for two reasons. Number one, it's the day after my wife's birthday, so if I forgot her birthday, I'm in big trouble on this day. And also, it's the first day of astronomical summer. Not the same as after Memorial Day, that's our summer, right? But the astronomers say that when the sun reaches the highest point in the sky, it's the beginning of summer. Is it also the hottest of the days? No, because there's a lag for the air and ocean temperatures to go up, usually a month later. But we consider that to be the start of summer. It's the solstice, sol, sun, stus, standing still. The sun stands high in the sky. And then finally, the best time to see faint objects, as you will here, and one of the darkest sites in New Jersey at Jenny Jump, UACNJ, and that's when the moon is new or close to the sun, so we don't see a phase. So we'll be testing you all on this later. I still don't see anybody scribbling down anything. It's amazing. You all have great memories. So the moon in June, the corn planting moon, the strawberry moon, has a lot of names, a lot of different names. Native Americans had, different tribes had different names for the moon. This is from a publication in 1918, a person named Beard. I wonder if he had a beard. We also call it from the Farmer's Almanac the Fragaria, the Fragaria Anensis moon. That's the scientific term for strawberry moon. This is one of my favorites, but it's also the Mead moon. Gee, I wonder why it's called the hot moon. Anyone? Very shy audience, again. Very good. Thank you. That woman wins. You can go home when we're done. The rest of you got to stay. Supermoon in June. If you look up Fred Espenak's eclipse sites on the internet, he's been doing this for decades. He's Mr. Eclipse. He used to work at the Goddard Space Flight Center for NASA. He'll point out that the average distance of the moon from the Earth is more than 250,000 miles. That sounds like a lot. In space, that's not. The sun is 93 million miles away. 250,000 compared to 100, 400 times further closer than the sun. Why do they look the same size? If the moon is 400 times closer to us, looks the same, that must mean that the sun is 400 times bigger. Right, right. Thank you. Again, this woman, you've got to win something. Sally. Well, thank you, Sally. Again, there's no need to be shy. So about 250,000 miles. Oh, well, thank you, Kim. Thank you. See, it does reward it. You can be rewarded for opening your mouth. May 16th, June 14th, July 13th. These are all supermoons. It can happen more than once a year. But the closest happens in July 13th. I'll be talking about that in my presentation, What's Up in the... very good, July sky. Thank you. Here we have a simulation in a program, a free computer program that I'll be using in a few minutes to simulate the sky. It's called stellarium. And it shows us where Mercury is right over the roof of that first observatory to your right in the morning on the 16th. And that's when it's furthest from the sun. Mercury orbits the sun very closely, which means a lot of the time it's going to be too close to the sun to see. And that's the exact spot right near a zodiac sign with big long horns and an evil, angry red eye, Aldebaran. Taurus, very good. Anybody a Taurus here? Okay, you can go home now. Oh, no. Thank you. You don't have to believe everything I say. Again, I'm not a professional astronomer, but I do play one in the movies. If you have forgotten everything I just told you, don't panic. Go online to go-astronomy.com. Go-astronomy has a list of all these events on their calendar. I'm going to challenge you to find the calendar by hunting and pecking. Hint, it's not that hard, but it is fun. Check it out. You can also use another free program to fly through the solar system, Celestia, celestia.space online. There's a mobile version, free. The website's free, and you can even run it. I think you can run it on their site free. If there's time, we'll play with that. But right now, I want to present my favorite slide. I don't hear any applause because okay, boy, very polite audience, very good. Because I want to simulate the sky with a computer program called Stellarium. Now, it's going to be a little hard to see stars because Mother Nature's not cooperating. It's not dark yet. You missed the show. We're done. Oh, no. That's fine. Relax. But this is exactly simulating the sky here as it appears in real time. The only thing we're not going to see, lines, outlines for the constellation. We can turn those off and on. What I could do, though, is change the time so that it's a little bit later. Here it is, June 4th at 2014. 20 minus 12 is 8 o'clock. Again, this person's not shy, thank you. 8 o'clock, 8:14, which is the current time. So Stellarium is counting off the seconds in real time. If you were to magnify part of the sky, you'd see the stars moving because everything is moving, right? The sun, the moon, the stars rise and set. So we can actually see that motion. However, what if I go to 9:15 or 10:15? Then I would see stars. Now, it's going to be hard for most of you to see anything at all, so I'm going to try zooming in to this famous group of stars. See, Stellarium is like a round planisphere or a star chart of the type that we sell in our gift shop. Shameless promotion. So everything is distorted on a flat map, right? Same thing when you put a map of the Earth flat. It's going to be distorted. But we can zoom into this famous group of 7 stars, which is standing on its end this time of year. And that famous group, I don't know if you can make it out. Anybody recognize it? Ursa Major is Ursa, bear. Major is big, the bear big, or big bear. Ursa Major, also known as the Little Dipper, although it's really a part, can't see it all, a part of a bigger group of stars that makes the bear. The Big Dipper is not one of the officially recognized constellations. By the way, the number of constellations, here's a quiz for the audience. Let me see if anybody's paying attention. Number of constellations officially recognized in 1930, same as the number of keys on a piano. Any piano players? How many piano players in the audience? Wow, that guy right there. Did you bring a keyboard, sir? No? All right, that's all. You're excused. All right, yes, 88. How did you know that? Just trivia. Excellent. We got a very smart audience. All right, so there's 88 constellations. We're going to go through them one by one tonight. We should be done by midnight. Any young people in the audience, you can nap. Don't believe everything I say. Again, I'm not a professional astronomer. I just pretend to be one. So we have the Big Dipper, which can help us use a special technique I'm going to give you a scientific term to memorize tonight. We're going to hop along these two pointer stars about 5 times their distance apart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll just miss, you see that? Straight line just misses this star, which if I click on it, Installarium identifies it as Polaris North Star. Yes, very good. So some of you are not shy. See? See, you thought you were shy. When I was growing up, I was very shy. And then years later, I heard a famous poet, Andrei Kudruscu, who had a publication called The Exquisite Corpse. I didn't make that up. That was his. And he said that people are like onions, right? They are in layers. So you're born a certain way, and that core of you stays the same, but you, as you get older and wiser, you add layers. And then it's summertime, and you sweat and you stink, just like an onion. No, wait, that's not right. I'm sorry. So I've got layers that I've learned over many years, but at heart, I am a shy person, just like many of you in the audience who I see staring back at me but not responding, or taking notes either, right? So get those iPads out. Get out your phablets. You know what a phablet is? The phone. There, she's got one. Well, look, the size of these things has grown over the years. I used to have a flip phone. Now I can actually kill someone with this thing. It's heavy. It's loading my pocket. I need a belt. I used to not have to wear a belt, but now the phone pulls my pants. It's terrible.
Hey, at least you have
Phablets.
actual pockets in your pants.
Right. Oh, wow. So in the future, we'll have, as I wrote in my science fiction story, flablets. What's a flablet? I'll let you think about that. Flablet. So we can identify stars. The North Star is part of the Little Dipper. And in New Jersey, I see 1, 2, 3 stars generally of the Little Dipper because we have light pollution. We also have a lot of light in the early summer sky, so that's going to be a problem seeing faint stars. But I can just about make them out right there, so I can click on them. I can identify names. Kokab is Beta Ursa Minor. Astronomers have 3-letter abbreviations for the constellations. This one reminds me of Uma Thurman, the actress. Uma, Ursa Major, 3 letters. So you'll see that when you see a star chart, it has abbreviations for the constellations. Those are not the only constellations visible when you're facing the way you're facing now at Jenny Jump in the north. There's also a letter W for Cassiopeia the Queen. She's low in the sky. A house-shaped group of stars is Cepheus the King. I'm not going to show it because you can't see it. And there's a dragon lying between the Big and Little Dippers, Draco. And those 5 constellations never rise or set. Never rise, never set, just spin around the North Star. They're always visible all year. But the further away you look from the North Star, towards the east, west, or south, things rise and set. So we're going to focus our attention tonight on the southerly sky, because that's where the most interesting stuff happens. Now again, I apologize that things are so bright that we may have trouble seeing where things are, but if you look carefully, especially members of the audience who are closer, might be able to see a faint letter S. So if you go out in the real sky at home, you're going to look that way for the faint letter S, correct? Some people are nodding. Okay. No. You know, I did this. I dropped my wireless mouse about 12 times and it died. But this thing just keeps on going. It's amazing. A wired mouse. So facing south, I'm going to see some bright stars. Tonight I'm going to see the moon, as we say technically, ruining everything. Ruining. Where's the moon? Setting in the west. Can you see it? Yeah, there you go. You see, so stellarium is correct. The moon happens to be by the main, M-A-N-E, sign of spring, the sign of the zodiac. Main, get it? M-A-N-E, anybody know the zodiac? Close. Leo is correct, the lion. And that's where the moon is right tonight. So when it gets dark, if the moon is still up, which is questionable, it may be in the trees, you want to look for a backwards question mark and a triangle next to it. That's the lion. That is disappearing. That's a sign of spring. We're talking about summer stars, what's up in June. So right next to Leo, we have Virgo, and above her, a bright orange star named Arcturus. And if you want to find Arcturus tonight, as the sky gets dark here at Jenny Jump, you want to look for the Big Dipper in the north and follow its arc high in the sky. Follow the arc in an arc shape, and it'll bring you to Arcturus. Arc 2, Arcturus. Fourth brightest star in the sky, if you count the double star Alpha Centauri as one star. Alpha Centauri is the closest star to the Earth, the Sun. Right. Closest star to the Earth is the Sun. Trick question. Sol. Right. That's 8 light minutes away. Closest star to the Sun is 4 light years away. It's so far, that's about 6 trillion miles. 6 followed by 12 zeros. So you see, miles are useless to astronomers. So we talk about light years. If you watch Star Trek, you'll see in one episode they say, I wouldn't marry you if you were here for 100 light years. Well, that's wrong. Light years are not time, they are distance. The distance light travels in a year. If you count the stars separately in Alpha Centauri, Arcturus, I'm sorry, yes, Arcturus is the third brightest star in the sky. And if you look, follow the arc to Arcturus, you're going to see an orangey color. And if you continue on south in the arc like this, you'll speed to Spica in Virgo, the woman who holds a sheaf of wheat in her hand. When you see Spica and Virgo rising in the east in spring, it's the first sign of spring. It's time to plant the wheat. And that's what our ancestors did. They used the constellations to tell time. Cool. Now, you can also see that Spica will have a bluish color. Arcturus an orangish color. Right? So your eyes can actually see star temperatures. Isn't that cool? I think that's really cool. The sun is yellow, that's in between. That's a mere 10,000 Fahrenheit. Doesn't compare to a New Jersey summer. I know I'm wearing long sleeves, and when I do this in What's Up in July, I'll be sweating, but the bugs won't bite me. Arcturus, cooler than the sun, hundreds of degrees. Spica, 20,000 degrees or hotter. So the sun is in between, an average star. So your eyes are spectroscopes. They can tell temperature. You don't need fancy equipment to learn your way around the sky. You need a star chart. We sell them, by the way, in our gift shop. And you need your naked eye. And that is the technical term, the scientific term I'm going to ask you to remember today. Repeat after me, naked eye. I didn't hear the shy people in the back. Naked eye. Thank you. Right, the other technical term is star hopping. We hop along the stars of the Big Dipper. Pointer is to find the North Star. So we're going to use those techniques to find our way around the sky. Other things you want to find in the summer sky, look high to the left of Arcturus, or what direction is left facing south? Sun rises there. East. Look to the east of Arcturus high for a letter H. And although you can't see it too well here, it looks like a keystone in an arch. That's an irregular shape. It's not a square. It's a quadrilateral, not a parallelogram, not a square, quadrilateral. And that's the center of a guy whose name begins with the letter H, which is, to me, what the stars look like. Famous hero. Kevin Sorbo played him on TV. Hercules, yes. Hercules has a famous faint object in it that you can see even in a pair of small binoculars, especially here at Jenny Jump, the darkest observatory site in New Jersey, one of the darkest, because we are in a state forest. You'll see it as a fuzzy blob on the right side of the quadrilateral. I almost forgot the name. Fuzzy blob. Looks like a little cloud. In a small telescope, you'll see there's some stars there. In a very large telescope, it's a cluster of stars in the shape of a globe. So, of course, scientists made up a fancy scientific name for this cluster of stars in the shape of a globe. It's a, ooh, this man is brilliant, and he's also not shy. Let that be a lesson to the rest of you. Globular cluster is correct. M13 is the most easily observed globular cluster in the northern, well, from New Jersey. There is a bigger one, Omega Centauri, very low in the trees, very hard to see. But you are correct. M13 is about 500,000 stars, all clustered closely together. If you lived on a planet around one of the stars and looked in your night sky, it would look just like a typical New Jersey sky, blotted with too much light. No, I'm kidding. It would look like a bunch of street lights. The stars are so close to each other, light months apart, not light years. All right, so that is M13. M number 13, Charles Messier, French astronomer, made a list of all the objects that annoyed him when he was looking for comets over 100 years ago, back in the 19th century. He was looking for comets. Why do we remember him today for the 104 things that he threw out? Those, not for comets. We remember him for the junk that he threw away. So, as my mother once said, never throw anything away. You never know when it might come in handy. The Messier list includes M number 13, globular cluster, and this is the way it looks to the Hubble Space Telescope. Oh, notice how it's moving slowly? That's real time. If you put a telescope that does not have a clock drive on it, just aim it, you'll see things move out of the field of view. 4 degrees per minute? No. 1 degree per quarter minute? Something like that. So a lot of our amateur astronomers here put drives on their telescope that move the telescope to follow the sky as it rises and sets. So you look on the right side of the middle of Hercules for a little fuzzy blob. That's called a deep sky object. It's deep in the sky. It's among the other stars. But these things can be hundreds to thousands of light years away. When we say that something is in a constellation, M13 is in Hercules, is it near the stars of Hercules? Well, let's see. This one is 376 light years away. The globular cluster is about 25,000 light years away, rather more distant. The Milky Way galaxy that we live in, which you can see, by the way, this summer, all the way across the sky from south to north, it's one of the few places in the state where you can. That's a flat object, so it looks like a thin band. Around the center of it are thousands of globular clusters. They're very old. Kind of hard to see anything, so I'm going to wrap things up fairly soon, looking at the sky this way. One peculiarity of the summer sky coming up in the east, and I'll talk about it more next month, is a sign, a constellation that planets and the moon and sun pass through. Now, there are 12 famous ones that constitute the zodiac, yes. However, the Earth is tilted as it moves around the sun to its orbit, and that tilt changes very slowly. The Earth is wobbling like a top on its axis. Can you feel it? No. No, it takes almost 25,000 years to do one wobble. If you go to Switzerland, I don't know if anybody has visited Switzerland, there's a clock that has this motion precession. So don't stand there and stare at it. You're not going to see anything change. But that means that every so often, the ecliptic path that's parallel to that, the orbit of the Earth in the sky, passes through an extra constellation. Ophiuchus, the serpent carrier, who to me looks like a big horseshoe. He's holding the head of the serpent, the tail of the serpent. Would you prefer I use a older technology? All right, so this is Ophiuchus. There's the serpent's head and tail. He's carrying it like this. Oh, by the way, this is comes in very handy, especially when there's bugs around. Ophiuchus is a constellation that the planets Sun and Moon do pass through. 13th sign of the zodiac. Modern astrologers, some of them account for this, most don't. So the sky does change slowly in interesting ways. So again, if you want to observe stuff in the summer sky, you want to wait till the moon's out of the sky. And we can do that in Stellarium. We can change the time and date to, let's say, notice how the moon is moving through the sky night after night, 7th, 8th, 9th. The moon moves through the constellations more quickly, right? By the middle of the month, the moon will be out of the way. Again, a nice dark sky. So now we're looking at the sky for June 15th. Arc to Arcturus beat Spica. Look left for the crown, a little crown of stars, one of the 7 labors of Hercules next to the crown. And right there I see something moving. What's that? 90 minutes to go around the Earth once. Satellite, this is one of the Starlink satellites. There are thousands of them. There will be thousands more. They're painting them black, but many astronomers are a little upset because it's interfering with some observations. But they will give us some good internet access. So there's a trade-off to modern technology. I urge you to go out tonight and don't irritate, ask a lot of questions of the astronomers, the amateur astronomers. They've got different kinds of equipment. They've got the observatories where on one of them they project images of what's in the telescope, so you don't have to wait in line to look through an eyepiece. When things clear up from our COVID restrictions, someday we hope again that you'll be able to stand in line and actually look through the telescope, see these things in real time with light that came from M13 25,000 years ago. By the way, there's a signal going to M13 right now. We sent it in the 1970s. It'll get there in 25,000 years, and it shows a picture of us. So if you want to wait round trip, 50,000 years from now, we'll get an answer.
All right. On that note, I believe there are a couple of scopes that we do allow people to view through the eyepiece. We just ask that if you are not feeling well, you do be mindful of health and safety, and if you are not feeling well, perhaps refrain from touching the telescope. So, yeah, we are slowly as guide health and higher powers than us dictate, uh, relaxing restrictions as possible.
Good news. Thank you, Kim. Now, next month I'll be talking about Scorpius, very down low in the sky, and Sagittarius, summer stars that you can see well only in the summer. They rise high enough above the horizon, above these trees, that we can enjoy them. So I'll describe them in detail next time. And therefore, I'm going to conclude by going back to my slides. In the news, some of you heard that a comet broke up, and let's see, and that there was a possibility, the Tau Herculid meteor shower, possibility on the 30th and the 31st, the night of May 30th, 31st. Did anybody go out to try to see if there was a meteor storm? Yeah, I did too. Did you see anything? Oh, terrific. I didn't. Darn. I'm very envious. Was it more than usual, one every so often? Ah, that's terrific. I went out. I saw nothing. It was hazy in my location. Very good. I'm glad you did. This is, they were expecting, they weren't sure if it was going to be a meteor shower or a meteor storm. In one case, meteor shower, little particles, sand grains come in, they burn up. It's only about the size of a grain of sand. Meteor storm is when the sky is completely clouded and it's raining, right? No, meteor storm is when we enter the track directly of a broken up comet, and there's a huge, every so often, every few seconds up to every few minutes. And this one was lucky enough to see it. Thank you very much. It would have appeared the radiant point that they all came from in a single point was near the star Arcturus. But the best way to view any meteor shower, and I'm going to talk about the Perseids in August, and you guessed it, what's up in what? Thank you. Boy, very tired people. Little enthusiasm. What's up in? Yay! All right. Right, I'll be back for that. The Perseids puts on a really nice show every year, and the best equipment to see it, the naked eye, thank you, a lawn chair, and bug spray. What you want to do is lie back and use your wide angle eyes to see as much of the sky as possible because they radiate out from a single point all over. It's like railroad tracks or the turnpike or the parkway, the division lines. They seem to recede to a point in the distance, but they're on a parallel track. Finally, I'm going to leave you with some references. There are still, believe it or not, there are still magazines in print. These have been around for decades. Sky and Telescope and Astronomy are written at the layperson level for people like you and me. It's not technically not scientific, but it is accurate. You can also pay for a subscription service online, and a large part of their content is free online. If you forget everything else I told you tonight, all right, I'll be very disappointed. I will cry. But I'll ask you to remember this one. Repeat after me. Space.com. Excellent. It's got news, it's got science, it's got astronomy, the search for life, all kinds of references, and best of all, it's easy to remember. Stellarium. I was using Stellarium to show you the sky. You can do it too. It's free. The oddest thing about it, the latest version is 0.22. I started when it was 0.13. When are you guys going to, get your act together? When is it 1? Or maybe we don't want that because when it gets to 1.0, maybe they want money. Yeah, it's free now. Open source. Any programmers in the audience, you can actually contribute to it. It's free at stellarium.org. You can use it online with their supercomputers. You can download it. You can get the free app. A little bit of history. In June 7th, the death date of a famous French astronomer. The mathematician Riemann, who's famous for the Riemann hypothesis, a still unproven hypothesis in mathematics, one of the most famous. He proposed that space is curved. I do a whole astronomy talk asking if space is curved with the latest information. Maybe I can do that here. That was June 10th. And June 14th, the European Space Agency came into existence. So I was going to review what's up in the sky. Maybe we'll skip this and we'll wait till it gets dark so that you guys can find it in the real sky. I am going to ask you to go and look, though, for the Big Dipper and Arc2, Arcturus, the orange star, and then speed south to Spica, the blue star. See if you can find those. Those will be coming out early as the sky gets dark. And finally, the events that you all took diligent notes on, right? Middle of the month, supermoon and Mercury. The first day of summer is the solstice. That's when the sun reaches the highest point in the sky above the equator. And finally, the new moon, the end of the month. Best time to see things like M13 deep sky objects that are faint, nebulas, clusters. Clusters in the shape of a globe are a globular cluster. So I see you got the science down. Excellent. A little bit of reference. United Astronomy Clubs of New Jersey. Repeat after me. UACNIDGE. Very good. That's how I remember it. It's got everything, all kinds of references. There's magazines, many programs. I counted dozens of apps for iOS or Android where you can just hold your device to the sky, your phablet or phone, and it will GPS, it'll use GPS to position exactly what you're looking at and identify it. It's really cool. Skyview is one. There's so many. And finally, shameless promotion. My book, Space History Mystery Solved lets you interact with three-dimensional objects with your fingers or a pointing device. Virtual reality planets. My latest is Mars at Your Fingertips, for sale. I just finished building the app this morning. It hasn't been approved yet, but there is an app for that. There has to be an app for that. But you can actually go and find it at marsatyourfingertips.com. And finally, I'm at Lonny Buinis at gmail.com. And my website, Astronomy in Motion, has my artwork and virtual reality planets that you can play with for free. Thanks for visiting. You've been a great audience.
All right. Thank you, Lonnie, for another great presentation. So I did notice a couple people got in part of the way through. That's not a problem. I know the views off the rock are very captivating. Couple things to go over, safety briefing before we get into Q&A and then head out. When we go to leave, do use your headlights so we don't run people over. We like to avoid that. It hurts. Been there, done that. Don't suggest it.
Safety first.
Yeah, you didn't realize I
Also,
got tagged?
also very dangerous if you kick an astronomer's tripod.
But that being said, if you do have a flashlight, do keep that pointed down towards the ground if you are using it, because we don't need to unnecessarily blind people. We do have multiple of our observatories open tonight. If you need to use the restroom, we have the porta potty to my right, your left. We do have a museum and gift shop that will be open after the presentation. Unfortunately, they haven't yet to give me the ability to be in two places at once, so I can't man that area and be out here at the same time monitoring chat. So, we are going to get into a question and answer session now. And normally what I'll do is I have been monitoring our online chat, and I kind of flip-flop between the two. So, if you're here, do raise your hand and kind of keep it up so I can wander to you if you have a question, so you can speak it using the mic. Because chances are, if you have that question, a person online also has that question and might be too shy to speak up. So to get this started, I'm going to start off with one from online. One of our people online wants to know, how are you doing after
Oh, yeah.
have you healed up?
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I injured myself a couple months back and I was unable to do the presentation, which is sad because I've been doing this for about 26 years. And so my recommendation to all of you is if you have to fall in the bathroom, don't hit the bathtub with your ribs. They're all right now. Thank you.
Okay, so everyone got that. Don't get run over by cars. Don't hit people with cars. Don't fall in the bathtub. All right. Wonderful safety briefing. Is there a question for our audience here? Okay.
This isn't really about the June sky, but speaking of the Perseid meteors, there's a supermoon at the same time as the Perseid meteors. Is that going to affect how well I can see them?
Yes, Sally, very good point. It will. It'll ruin everything. That's the short answer. However, don't be discouraged because the Perseids are generally rated at up to 50 an hour. You might see a bright one occasionally. So the thing is, lie back, spray yourself with bug spray, look at the whole sky, and try.
But the bigger point is we will have a meteor shower and a supermoon, so it's guaranteed to be cloudy regardless.
Right. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Chris is one of our volunteers who does a great job to make all this possible.
The running gag is, among any astronomer, is that, boring night, nothing happening, beautiful. As soon as there's the most interesting astronomical event to happen in the last 50 years, you're in, like, not even clouds, just fog, and you're like, I can't see 5 feet in front of me. All right, so our next question actually comes from an offhand comment you made online. They ask, were you in a movie? Because you had mentioned playing one in the playing a professional astronomer in the movies.
Yeah, I had a friend who created a new version of the First Men in the Moon. And at the end of the First Men in the Moon, if you read the book, the narrator goes to visit an astronomer in an observatory, Mr. Wendige. It wasn't even doctor at the time. In the 19th century, they called him Mr. And so I played Mr. Wendige. I'm not Indian, but that was fun. So I've played an astronomer, although the production never made it into general release.
Is it available on the internet though?
No.
Ah.
But if you want me to pretend to be an astronomer, I'll do that now.
All right. Was there another question here? Oh. Okay.
You mentioned that you mentioned that light years are not time. How would you define it then in that case?
Well, that's a good question. Light years are not time. How do you define it? What they like to do is astronomers like to use standard yardsticks that are better than miles because miles are too small. The Earth is about 8,000 miles across. When we get to millions of miles between planets and trillions for stars, it doesn't really make much sense to us. So what astronomers have done for the solar system, they use a yardstick, the distance from Sun to Earth, and call it 1 astronomical unit. About 60,000 of those is a light year, which is the time it takes. It's the distance that light travels if you time it for 1 year. For instance, if we look at the moon, we're seeing it as it was in the past, 3/4 of a second ago. When we see the planet Jupiter, that's back about a half hour in the past. So it takes time for light to travel. When we look at the nearest star, it's taken light 4 years to get to us. So we define that distance 4 light years. So a light year is like a yardstick. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, sure, thanks.
All right.
Do
So
you have
our,
other questions?
yep. So our next online question is that.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Um,
Kim, there's an audience question.
Oh. Yeah, I normally hop back and forth between.
How did they find how fast the speed of light is?
Oh, that's very interesting. If you look it up, I love Wikipedia, and you can contribute to that encyclopedia as well. There are various techniques for doing that by using rotating mirrors and time delays. But the earliest, I believe it was an astronomer named Roemer who timed the satellites of Jupiter and realized there was a delay in the eclipses and the occultations. So they were able to figure out fairly close to what that should be just by using an astronomical technique. Nowadays we do it with electronics. There's a lot of different ways. That's a very good question. And I'm not expert at that.
All right. So our next online question was in Stellarium. Were those actual images from UACNJ that you used in Stellarium? And was it difficult to get that?
You know, that's a very great question. I want to thank James DiPietro for contributing that landscape. He photographed the entire surrounds from a location out there somewhere and then applied that as a background in Stellarium. In Stellarium, you can make your own custom backgrounds. So I'm not sure how he did it, but I want to thank him for that. And I've lost the thread of what the question was.
Yeah. So the basic gist is that one of our observers here, our volunteers, had actually made the background stitched together in Photoshop with many images and then imported that into Stellarium. I don't know offhand exactly all the process involved in that, but I'm sure there is wonderful lessons in YouTube University and or other online sources.
Oh,
and
yeah.
unfortunately, currently we do not have a set background for UACNJ available to the public. I believe James had just only shared that with a few of our volunteers here. So, was there another question with our audience here? Oh, okay. but our online audience won't be able to hear. So
So I'm just wondering for here, will this screen stay lit up where we'll be able to view the sky as well, or no?
Oh, no, no, no. We'll close that down.
Okay.
That's a very good question. Yeah, no, we're not going to keep the screen up, but we do have a lot of experts in all the different pieces of equipment and observatories. You can ask as many questions as you like.
right. Was there another question out here?
So you guys
Right.
know everything about the sky. And if you forget, if you forget, that's all right. You can come back. We're going to do this every first Saturday of the month, except when it's too cold. So November through March, we'll be doing it virtually.
All right. There is another online question. Um, they ask, do you know the history of horoscopes? They see the constellations used a lot for reference, and he remembers that the time window for someone's sign has quite shifted over the centuries. So, how do you view them currently?
Yeah, you have to be careful with, well, I'm not an astrologer, and astrology is not considered to be a science, but a set of beliefs about how the planets in the sky influence people emotionally and in their lives. So, but what we can point out is that because of precession, because the Earth wobbles slowly, things go out of alignment after a time. So if you look in my case, my sign, because I was born in December, is Capricornus, which I'm embarrassed to admit is an old goat. So if my wife wants to call me Capricornus, she's accurate, right? The old goat. It's a half fish, half goat. That's even worse. Half fish, half goat. So that's supposed to be where the sun is when I was born. However, the sun is back to the right by 30 degrees in Sagittarius when I was born. So it's off by an entire sign. Astrology is off by a whole sign because of precession. Not all astrologers account for that. So we don't consider astrology to be a science, but it is what eventually became astronomy. Astronomy, the science, came from astrology, the interest in the motion of things in the sky. Good question.
All right. Was there another question out here? Anyone?
I've got one for you. How many people are getting bitten by bugs? Oh, all right. It started.
Yeah. That's why one of the most important things you could bring, especially if you're observing in a state park, is bug spray. So,
Bugs. Oh, that's a great. Oh, this gentleman had a brilliant idea. We could clean up on bug spray in the gift shop. Thank you, sir. All right.
Yeah, so
Well, it's like popcorn at the movie theater. That's how they make their money.
I told my wife that if you were to hop on a rocket ship and take a trip in space, and you were gone 5 years, that when you came back, everybody here would be a lot older. And she doesn't believe me. And I can't explain it to her because I have no idea why that is. But could you tell us why
That's
that's
a
the case?
very good question, sir. I don't know if everybody heard that, but he was asking about the time dilation effect. If you hop on a rocket ship, speed out, let's say 5 years, and then come back, that would be another 5 years, right? You could have aged maybe a couple of weeks, but it would be 10 years in the future by the time you came back. If you went to M13, 25,000 light years away, you would come back after a few years of ship time, and it would be 50,000 years from now, and there would be dinosaurs on the Earth and no people. So why is that? Well, that would work only and only if you travel close to the speed of light, because Einstein proved mathematically, and it's been proven through test after test after test, that if you travel fast enough, time dilates, distance shrinks, space warps, and therefore your time remains the same on board, but the time relative to someone else changes. That is why they call it relativity. There is the speed of light stays the same in all reference frames. Time can actually flow and shrink to accommodate that. So if you go out fast enough and come back, then you might age a few hours, a few days, a few weeks, but years could pass by in real time. Somebody viewing you from a distance, if they could look into your ship, would see the time apparently slowing down. You looking back to them would see time slowing down. Same in all reference frames. It's really bizarre, but it's real. We've tested this time and again. When you send satellites into orbit in one direction, or they've done this with airplanes in two directions, atomic clocks come back with different times because of time dilation. Good question. So do you believe your husband now? You can look up special relativity in Wikipedia. They do explain sometimes at a lay level so we can all understand it without the math. Good question.
All right. I'm just putting out a last minute call for any last questions in online chat. All right. So we're just going to give that a couple minutes because there is a slight delay from when we actually say stuff here and when people in the chat can actually hear it. That being said, is there another question here?
Oh, okay, another question.
What is the most interesting thing that we should be looking at tonight? Where should we look first?
What should we look at first tonight? What's the most interesting? Well, I guess it depends on if you're interested in the colors of stars or types of stars, double stars, or a deep sky object like M13, a globular cluster, or a nebula. Later in the summer, we're looking towards the center of the Milky Way, right about that direction. And there's a lot of stuff to see. There's open clusters of stars which are spread out more than globulars. There's nebulas. Nebula is a word for anyone? Nebulous. When a politician speaks nebulously, it's very cloudy. Very good, thank you. Yeah, nebulas are gas clouds where stars are forming. One of the most interesting things you can see in what's up in July is the Lagoon Nebula. And it's an actual place where stars are being born. And when it's dark here at Jenny Jump, you can see it with the naked eye. It's unbelievable, a stellar birthplace. But tonight when things are dark, go and ask someone to show you M13. It's going to be high, coming through the least amount of the Earth's atmosphere, 5 miles troposphere. This way it's hundreds of miles. This way it's 5 straight up. So coming through less air, it's going to be a clearer image. Unfortunately, most of the planets are in the morning sky. The moon's going to be kind of low. What else is interesting? Galaxies near the Big and Little Dippers. There's a constellation called the Hare of Berenice, Coma Berenices. That's where all the galaxies are. If it's dark, ask someone to show you the Black Eye Galaxy, M64, Black Eye Galaxy. It looks for all the world like somebody punched out this galaxy. It's got a black mark underneath. Black Eye Galaxy, that's my favorite. Good question, sir.
All right. Chat wanted to be a little snarky after the astrology question. So you're saying that that's why everyone has gone crazy. Our astrological signs are out of whack.
Oh, that's an interesting question. Have we all gone crazy because the astrological signs are out of whack by one whole sign? That's a good theory. What do you think?
Oh, we got another question here.
You had gotten annoyed by the presence of the Starlink satellite, but there are literally hundreds of thousands of satellites, and that's not even including all of the dead ones and the rest of the space junk.
Right.
Would things like the ISS and the other more current active satellites just continue to be a problem?
Yeah, all satellites could interfere with a long exposure professional not photograph anymore, images, electronic images made by professional astronomers. But there are ways to minimize that impact, and the ISS has a peculiar orbit that doesn't interfere that much. The other space debris is dark and small. A lot of it is fractured. If you saw the movie Gravity, you can see the danger of that. There's proposals to try to capture some of that debris. But Starlink, because of the tens of thousands of proposed satellites traveling in the area where we want to do a lot of important observations, that could be a problem. Now, they are trying to mollify that by painting them dark, by alerting astronomers as to where their paths are exactly when they pass by. So yeah, all of it can be annoying. the greatest danger is actually the proliferation of all this debris in trying to go through it, to travel past it, and that's going to be an increasing danger. The Earth has a ring of debris, kind of like Saturn. Yeah, right. Right now, one interesting point. April 13, the year 2029. It sounds very distant for the young people in the audience, but it's coming up fast. We hope to see the asteroid Apophis. That's an ancient Egyptian demon. Apophis. It looks like Apophis, but it's pronounced Apophis. It's a big rock, 1,200 feet across. It's about 3 football fields. It's not going to hit us, but it's coming within the orbit of our geosynchronous satellites, about 20,000 miles. It's going to be so close, we'll actually be able to get some images of it in telescopes. And it's so close that Earth's gravity will forever change its orbit, so it becomes a different class of asteroid. Very exciting. Hope to see that. That's just a little, I got off on a tangent. That happens a lot. But thank you for the question.
Right. It looks like our online questions have dried up. Are there any last minute questions here with our live audience? All right. So I want to thank you, Lonny, again for presenting for us.
Thank you.
I want to thank you guys both online and here for coming out and visiting us. Like I said, we do have several scopes out and open available. I don't know if we have any currently doing with EAA setups, which is electronically assisted astronomy. But it should be hopefully getting dark enough soon where we should start having stars come out. Unfortunately, I am lacking my distance glasses, so right now it just looks blue.
Arcturus is up, right almost overhead. Very bright.
Yeah, I got nothing. Without my distance glasses, it's a problem.
I lucked out and remembered to use mine.
That's why when I was asking, hey, keep your hand up, because sometimes it's just sea of people.
Sure.
All right. So with that, thank you all and have a good night.
Thank you, Kim.
Bye.